Hi everyone, good evening. Okay, so today we'll talk about the virtual machine concept, the first service in the Azure. So before we go and create virtual machines, just a brief about our traditional data center and the virtualization concept. Then we'll go and jump into the virtual machines. Okay, so already we discussed previously before coming to this cloud. Okay, we used to have traditional data center, right? So in the traditional data center, so this is our traditional data center, and inside this traditional data center, what we used to have? Servers. But where the servers will be allocated? So the servers mainly will be placed inside the racks. So there will be huge racks, and inside these racks, servers will be placed. Like previously, I've shown you the data center picture, right? So again, I'll show you how the racks will look like, because the servers are directly not placed in the data center. So here, if you see, these are like racks. If you see here, under these racks, inside, maybe horizontal or vertical, the servers will be placed. Okay, so same way here, inside these racks, servers are going to be placed in this way, multiple servers, whether the servers may be from the IBM or from the HP or from the Dell. It depends upon the vendor from where they want to buy this. So these servers are going to be placed, and it was running for many years. So whenever they want to buy new servers, again they will create a purchase order and they will talk to the sales team of that respective vendor, and they will deliver the hardware, and someone from the data center, they will place the servers in the specific racks, and all the networking connections they will arrange, and then once it is ready, they will give it to the OS team, and OS team is going to install the operating system by connecting to that machine through console, and then hand over it to the respective application team. They will install. It will take a lot of time, like whenever if they are planning for the new servers. So this is a physical servers concept. So we call this as a physical servers. So initially it was started in this way, physical servers. So every machine, physical machine will be placed under this racks. They are not like independent machine which will be placed on any tables. So it will be under this racks. So multiple racks will be there based upon how many servers the company is utilizing, how many applications are running. And then virtualization came into the picture. So VMware and Microsoft's product Hyper-V. VMware started this virtualization, like they have ESX software, we call it as an hypervisor. So this software we need to install, like for example, among from this physical rack, we'll talk about only one single server. Okay, so what we are going to do, we can install this hypervisor inside this physical machine, and on top of that, we are going to install or create virtual machines. So multiple virtual machines we can able to create. So what is the advantage of this concept? Why? Because scaling. See, whenever if the physical servers, for example, you have 20 physical servers, you want to run new applications, you want to start a new application, then you need to buy new server. So how much time it will take to buy a new server? It will take a lot of time. As I mentioned, purchase order, talk to the sales team, and they will check the availability in their like warehouse, and they will deliver it, configure it. Lot of time it will take. But in the virtualization concept, another advantage is utilization, efficiency of the resource utilization. So in one physical server, as I mentioned previously, it may be consuming not all the resources. If you talk about one physical server and it contains 16 GB RAM and 8 CPUs, something like that, it may be utilizing only 50% of it. So remaining all are free, and we cannot run multiple applications on the single server. So obviously you need to go to the another server. So here 50% of the resources are wasting. Likewise, same in most of the servers. In some servers 30%, 40%, in some servers 60% utilization resources are literally we are wasting. So if you install this hypervisor inside this machine, and you can create multiple virtual machines, and each machine you can allocate what are the resources that particular application is expecting. So 4 GB and 2 CPUs or 4 CPUs depend upon the requirement. We can share the resources. So basically here sharing the resources, and whatever the physical network card is available for this machine, it will also be virtualized, and it will be allocated to each and every virtual machine. So based upon the network speed of that virtual card, network card, so it will be allocated the speed to the each and every virtual machine. So this concept previously became a revolution, and most of the like Windows admin and Linux admin used to learn this VMware and Hyper-V concept, and they used to manage this software. So this way, multiple advantages: you can save a lot of space. One machine you take and multiple machines are running on a single box. And another thing is scaling. So if any of the machine is available with the resources, you can create a new VM and you can start deploying your new application. So you don't need to buy physical server until unless all the physical servers are full with the resource utilization. Until then, you don't need to buy any new server. You can check the resources in any of the physical server, and you can create a virtual machine in that, and you can create the same thing. Okay, the virtual machines. And here it is supports only Linux and Windows operating systems. Linux and Windows operating systems will be supported to create these virtual machines. So everything this hypervisor will take care. These virtual machines will not talk to your hardware. This virtual machine always mapping with this hypervisor. Hypervisor will take care. Your virtual machine doesn't know on which hardware it is running. Only hypervisor knows it. So hypervisor will talk. It's like a mediator. It will talk to your hardware, whether it's maybe HP hardware or IBM hardware, doesn't matter to the VM. Okay. So whenever, for example, this machine is having any problem, okay, from the VMware side, you can create one more machine, and like for example, one more machine, and this may be IBM machine, and this might be HP. You can move this all these VMs to this machine also. It doesn't know on which machine they are running those VMs, because hypervisor is going to act as a mediator between your hardware resources, CPU, RAM, and network, and between these virtual machines. So that is how they used to manage. Okay. Now cloud comes into the picture. So this is a cloud. Like for example, if you take this is an Azure cloud. And let's talk about, this is one of the region. Let's say this is an East US region. So already we discussed yesterday, region is one geographic location in the US. In US we have multiple regions. This is one of the region. So what we have in this region, we have multiple availability zones. Let's take, as of now, we'll take example of only 2 availability zones. Basically it contains 3. Same concept here also. They are also maintaining same concept, racks, big racks inside these data centers, and inside that racks they are maintaining the servers. So it depends, like they are buying HP servers or IBM servers, okay, and they are not going to buy whatever they are selling. They might be customization. So based upon their requirement, they'll ask for some customization with the company, and they are going to customize as per the cloud vendor requirement, and they are going to deliver in each and every data centers. So same way here also physical servers will be there, and inside that, inside the racks, the servers will be there, and backend they are also using virtualization concept. Same, this Hyper-V is a product of Microsoft. So obviously they are using this Hyper-V as a hypervisor concept here. So whenever I am using here, portal.azure.com and I'm trying to create a server, then it will go in the backend. Okay. So it will go whichever region we selected, and backend it will go, and from this physical server it will give you some resources, whatever the VM you are trying to create. So for that VM you are going to get some resources from this physical machine. Like you, some other customer also connected to the same portal, same ES to US region. When he is trying to create, he might get resources from same here. So this physical machine, whatever is inside this rack, it is sharing the resources not only to you, to the multiple customers. So some other customers creating the VM and he may get resources. For example, this machine contains around 16 GB or maybe 128 GB RAM or hundreds of CPUs. It will share resources to multiple customers. So we will get some piece of resources from this physical box. Okay. So this is about just an idea how it will work in the background, the comparison between our traditional and Azure cloud, because you should know what is the meaning of this virtual. Virtualization means it's like a virtual you cannot see physically, but still it appears like a physical. Okay. So now we'll go back to the our portal. Now we'll try to create virtual machines. So virtual machine is one of the service providing by this Azure. So you can see here in the main page, or else in the search menu also you can search virtual machines, then you can able to find this service. So ignore this. Okay, sign in again. Maybe it got disconnected. Again, it is asking for the sign in. So I am creating, I can see some messages. Okay. Okay, virtual machines. Click on virtual machine now. Now you are going to get, as of now, I don't have any virtual machines created. So I'm going to create a virtual machine. Select here, Azure Virtual Machine. Okay. So now I'm going to create virtual machine, but it is asking many tabs. We need to finish all these tabs, but we'll go one by one. And the first tab with the basic information, if you see subscription, as of now, this is a free trial subscription, and I'm using the same free trial subscription. Resource group. Yesterday I told you any resource you create, you need to have a resource group. So as of now, I don't have any resource. If you see, this is the one resource group got created when we were trying to create this Cloud Shell resource. So instead of that, we can create a new resource group now. At the time of creating resource, you can create resource group, or else directly also you can create like a resource group. If you see here, resource groups, you just go here, create, vice versa. This is like dual job. Create a resource group here and go back to the service and try to create resource and select this resource group. Or else there itself it will ask, if you don't have any resource group, just create it. Okay. So create resource group. I am just giving Galaxy test as a resource group, in which region you want to create. So I'm selecting US East US, and then review and create. Okay. So once this is created, again I'll go back to the virtual machines, and here I'll try to create a VM, and here also. Now if you see, Galaxy test is available here. I can select, or else click here, create new. Here also you can create. Now virtual machine name, I'm just going to give test01, and in which region you want to select, you can select any region. As of now, I'm selecting recommended US East US region. And now it is asking for availability options. So availability options, if you see, uh, no infrastructure redundancy required, availability zone, and virtual machine scale set and availability set. We have a separate session on virtual machine scale set, which is nothing but an auto scaling concept. And tomorrow we are going to talk in detail about availability zone and availability set. What is the difference between these two? But as a brief, I will tell you, Availability zone, when you need to select, in case if you are creating multiple machines for the same application. Understood? Like I will explain. Uh, you are going to create multiple servers, virtual machines for your application. Like you are creating some web servers, and you are want to create 3 machines, and front end you are going to create a load balancer for it. Okay, so load balancer will distribute the load. Front end, whoever is accessing your application, it will route traffic to all these 3 servers. So if you are going to create, if the purpose of the creating your virtual machines is this, then at the time of creating, this is VM01, and this is VM02, and this is VM03. These are the names. Then you need to select here availability zone. When you select here, then go and select if this is like a VM01, and then select here zone 1, and then next when you create second mission VM02 and create zone 2, and third mission when you create and create zone 3. This way you need to create. Why? Because high availability. Why? Because this is creating in AZ01, availability 01, and this is creating in availability 02, and this is creating in availability 03. So you are going to get high availability. If something happens to this availability zone, but still your application is up and running, because of load balancer will route traffic to these 2 machines. If 2 machines are having any problem, but still your front end application is not down, it is still routing the application to this machine. So that's why you need to select this way. But the purpose of the creating virtual machine is not this. Just one machine only you want it, then you no need to select availability zone. Anywhere you can select, like no infrastructure redundancy required, because this is a test mission or development mission. I don't require any high availability for this one. Then go with the no infrastructure redundancy is required. Why? Because only one server, wherever it may be created, maybe it when zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, doesn't matter. Okay, so then you can go with the no infrastructure redundancy required. Okay, and availability set, as I mentioned, tomorrow we'll have in detail discussion between what is the difference between availability zone and availability set. That you also you need to understand. In interviews, most of the interviews they will ask what's the difference between availability zone and set. Okay, and security type here it is showing multiple options: standard, trusted launch, virtual machines, confidential virtual machines. Means, see, whatever the machines they are providing, they want to provide more security. So trusted launch virtual machines means whenever you are creating one virtual machine, it may contain lot of secrets in the sense kind of passwords, SSL certificates. They are going to maintain more securely those kind of credentials. So that way they will maintain. And the confidential virtual machines means are more critical. Okay, on top of trusted launch, confidential virtual machine offers high confidentiality and integrity guaranteed with hardware based trusted execution environment. Okay, some environments need more trusted, then you can configure this confidential virtual machines, but we can go with the basic standard. And coming to the image, so what kind of image you want to attach here? So here Microsoft is giving some native images predefined. You don't need to insert any ISO image or CD to launch your virtual machine. By default, they are giving some images. If you see here, images, multiple images you can see, and those are like Linux and Windows only. So here Windows Server and Ubuntu and CentOS, some of the uh, images you can able to see, whichever image you want, like latest versions they are providing. This is also one of the advantage with the cloud. Why? Because whatever is latest in the market, they are going to provide those kind of latest versions of the softwares and the hardware also. So Windows Server you want for your application, which operating system it is expecting, Windows Server 2019 or 2012, whatever it may be, you can able to select it. And Red Hat Linux, Ubuntu Server, CentOS also you can able to get. And left side you can see my images. These are customized images. Customized image means like for example, I'm creating one VM and I selected Ubuntu, native Ubuntu image, means whatever is providing by the Microsoft. I selected that image and then on top of this I install some applications and libraries, whatever the requirement, have to have some basic dependencies, everything I install. And then I can take the image of this VM and then it will become as an image, and that image will be stored inside the my image. So next time if I am expecting same kind of VM, then I don't select native image, I'll select this image which I created. So whatever was installed by me in the previous image, dependencies, Java dependencies, libraries, applications, everything also will be available inside the new VM. So those are like customized images. We are creating our own images. Okay. So when we talk about virtual machine scale set, auto scaling concept, at that time we'll create our own image so that whenever a new machine is going to create during the high load, then it will pick up the image which we created. So that at the time we'll discuss how to create these images, all these things. And again, it's test 01 and region it's changed East US. Availability options, no availability zone is required, security standard. So we can select Windows also, like Windows Server 2016, 19, 2022, or Oracle is also having their own operating system, Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu, Linux operating system, you can choose. So I'll select Windows 2016 and here VM architecture. So here VM architecture means backend the architecture, like 32-bit, 64-bit, right? So x64 means 64-bit, and ARM64 is also one kind of an architecture. Okay, so that is not supported for this Windows Server 2016. So that's why by default, if you see here, ARM64 is not supported with the selected image. So if you select maybe Ubuntu, yeah, both is available. Okay, so this way you can select which architecture. Mostly we prefer this x64 architecture, only 64-bit. And this ARM64 is kind of a CPU processor which used for the mobile devices, mobile devices and Raspberry Pi devices. For those kind of devices, it uses this ARM64 architecture CPUs. And for our physical servers, for high-end servers, we use x64. Okay, this is bit cheaper compared to this x64. So that's why, based upon the operating system supports, okay, Windows is not supports this kind of CPU architecture. So that's why Windows was not showing this option enabled. Okay, so like again I'll change it to Windows 2016 and run with the Azure Spot discount. What is this run with the Azure Spot discount? Those who are aware about AWS, in AWS you have a three types of VM creations, VM availability. Okay. On demand, reserved, and a spot. Okay. So whenever you are creating a VM, you can request in three ways. One is on demand, one is reserved, and one is spot. So on demand is costly and reserved is like moderate and the spot is cheap. Okay. Hardware is same, whatever the backend hardware you are going to get, that is the same, but how you are requesting your VM, what kind of request you are raising, based on that it will charge you. So on demand means if you don't select this option, if you don't select this Azure Spot option, then it will be on demand only. Okay, by default on demand means whenever you want a server, you are raising a request to the cloud vendor that I want this much of capacity or this server I'm expecting from you. So they need to provide it to you any cost. That is called on demand. Okay, so that is costly. Costly in the sense, for example, this is $1 assume per hour. So reserved moderate means, reserved means what? 70% discount you are going to get. Okay, 70% discount. And spot means what? For example, if you take East US region, every data center, like in every region in the Azure, every region is having a data centers in the backend. So they might be some providing some different types of servers, okay, in the data centers. Not always all the servers will be busy by the customers. At least there will be in some data centers 80% of the utilization, or in some data centers 50% of the utilization will be there. Okay, so for example, they have 150% of the resources arranged. Okay, but the utilization is some 80%. So out of 150%, if you remove 80%, then free is 70% of the resources are freely available now. Means they are free, they are not using by any customer. So what these vendors will think, instead of these servers are sitting idle, basically to run the servers they need lot of electricity, they need lot of maintenance, manpower, and air cooling, all these things. So what they decided, instead of this sitting idle, they want to give this for free, sorry, for less price. Okay, so if you select as a spot instance here, where it is spot instance here, then from this 70% you are going to get the resource, same kind of hardware whatever the person who is demanding on demand, same kind of hardware he is going to get. Okay, so he will get that for very less price, maybe 0.2 dollar. This way you can get per 1 hour this server. But when this problem comes is, the problem with the spot instance is, suddenly or maybe after some time in the East US, utilization is increased from 80 to around 120%. Now free is only 30%. So because of that, they want to remove these spot instances, because their top priority is to provide the servers or capacity to the on demand, whoever requesting on demand, their priority is to the on demand customers. So what they will do, they will delete the servers and they will allocate to the on demand customers who are requesting for the on demand. Okay, so you cannot run your production environment or any critical kind of POCs or anything which is important. You cannot run the servers which was requested with the spot option, because anytime they will delete. There is no guarantee that your servers are going to be available. Okay, so that's why spots are very cheap, because instead of sitting idle in the back end, they want to give it for some less price so that they can get some money out of that. But whenever there is a demand, then again they will remove and they will give it to the main customer, whoever is asking as an on demand. Okay, so if I click this option, we can see two options here: eviction type, eviction policy. Like suppose I am requesting for this on demand, spot instance, so I need to select these options. So in the eviction type, you can see capacity only and price or capacity, which means capacity only means your virtual machine will be evicted when Azure's excess capacity disappears. So if you select this option, you are showing, you are giving consent that whenever there is a huge demand in the data center, if the resources are very less, you are allowing them to delete the server which was created by you. Okay, you are giving your consent, so there is no objection, so they will delete your server. Okay, and second option, price or capacity, means your virtual machine will be evicted when Azure's excess capacity disappears. This is like a bidding. You are not allowing to delete your server, but you are going to bid. Like for example, spot, if I select this option, price or capacity, I am going to quote some price here. Like for example, I'll mention $1. Okay, up to $1 I can pay this one. So even though when there is a less resource in the data center, they will not come and delete, and they will check your quote, and they will see, okay, $1 you are going to pay for this server. So they are not going to delete from you. But when this price is increases by the on-demand request, then they will delete. When if this is like $1.5 you are going to get by the on-demand request, then what they will do, they will delete your request. So they will wait up to only $1, and from on-demand also they are getting $1, so they will consider your request. But if on-demand request is more than 1.5, okay, more than $1, then they will delete. But you might be thinking, how a on-demand guy, where he is having option to quote this price? For on-demand request, there is nowhere mentioned the quoting the price. Only thing is, on-demand guy might be requesting the big server with a huge CPU and RAM. Okay, then obviously the price will be more for that, right? So in that scenario, then Azure will also charge more to that on-demand person, whoever requesting like 10 CPUs, 32 GB of RAM, but this person is using 2 CPUs, 4 GB of RAM. Okay, then the price will be more here. So in that way they will calculate. Okay, so then they will delete. That is the option here. Price or capacity, your virtual machine will be evicted when Azure's excess capacity disappears or costs exceed your specified max. Example, if I select this option, down you can see here I need to provide the value here, not here, where it is here. Okay, so here I need to select this option, and price may include up to 5 decimal values. Here I need to provide in the dollars. Okay, maximum price you want to pay per hour USD, I need to select this option. So that based on that they will wait, otherwise if they get more money they will delete it. So this is type. And what policy you want to allocate this policy? Stop deallocate means what? Suppose whenever, whether you select first option or second option, end of the day they will delete your server, means they will take it from you. But if you select this option, again whenever there is a capacity is available in the data center, you may get that server again back to your like account. Okay, so stop and deallocate means what? At that time it will be stopped, it only stopped. Okay, and they will take back the CPU and RAM from you, and they will may allocate to some other customer. But whenever there is enough capacity in the data center, they will again give it back to you. If you mention delete, then everything will be deleted. Okay, so they are not going to give it back to you whenever there is availability. So that based upon your requirement, you need to select these options. Okay, so as of now I'm not selecting this Azure Spot discount. Okay, so we are creating on demand. If you're not selecting this option, means it's an on demand request. Okay, and then the size. So if you see here the size, and here you can see uh, different sizes. This is very important. So let's go to the see all sizes. Okay, I got to see all sizes. If you see here, uh, same like in AWS, you have different compute optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized. The same way here also, different purpose, like different types of models are available. It is providing by the Azure. Okay, so if you see one CPU, 3.5 GB of RAM, two CPUs, 8 GB, B series, D series, different series. Okay, and if you see here, different types of categories are available. Some machines are like fully with the CPU, some machines are full with the memory. It depends upon what kind of workload you are running on that server. You need to select the server in the real time. Some applications eats more RAM, some applications need more CPU, some applications need more storage capacity. Storage means, storage is also one of the part to be more like application performance. Okay, or some applications need graphic cards, NVIDIA cards. So depend upon the requirement, then you can select which servers is suitable for that specific applications. So here we can see M series, N series, D series, lot of different servers. Always remember, high-end servers might not be available always in the data center, but whenever you are expecting some high-end servers, if it is not available, then you can raise a request. They will arrange that servers. They will also take some time. Every server is always will be not ready in the data centers. Okay, just some basic servers will be always available, but top-end servers sometimes may not be available. Okay, I faced this issue in the AWS when I was working on AWS. I want to launch some databases, so some servers were not available. We need to raise a request, and they will arrange those servers, or else they will suggest that instead of going with this server, you can opt for another servers which are already available in the data center, and they will tell you almost same hardware, same architecture is there. Just the series is little bit different. You can use those servers which are available. That way also they can recommend you. Okay, so here if you see one CPU, 1 GB RAM, basic. If you want a less bill, then you can use one CPU, 1 GB RAM. But if you're using Linux operating system image to create a VM for practice, this is sufficient. But if you're using Windows operating system and that to 2022 or 19, then you need more resources. Windows cannot run on just 1 GB of RAM. It will be very, very slow. So you need to check which operating system you opted while creating this VM. And these are like a data disks, how many disks you are going to get, and it is allowed to attach. And this is input output per second. This will discuss in the storage. Okay, and premium disks. So this way you can select. I think we selected Windows, right? So I'll go with this two CPUs, 4 GB of RAM. Okay, and select. So this is the machine I selected. Okay, so if you selected Windows Linux operating system, I can go with the 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM. Easily we can connect to that, no issues. And here administrator account, provide any username, and whatever the username you are providing here, this is like admin account, not a normal user. So in the machine, it will create as an admin account. You will have full privileges. And if you select here Linux operating system, then it will provide you SSH key also, both the options. Let's say if I select Ubuntu here. So if you see here, password based authentication and SSH. Linux, you can log in with the SSH key based authentication also. In AWS, you don't have this password option. You need to create a VM with the key based authentication only. But in Azure, they are providing you password based authentication also. If you don't want to log in with the key, then you can log in with the password. Okay, and again I'll change it here. Where is Windows operating system? And then this is about public inbound ports, means incoming request, means server we are creating from external world. From my laptop, I want to connect to this machine. So each operating system to connect, one service is going to run. So for Windows, it uses RDP, remote desktop protocol. So from my laptop, I can connect to that machine if this port is enabled in the server. And for Linux, SSH, secure shell, it will use on 22 port number. Then only we can able to connect from our laptop to this machine through internet. We can able to connect. Okay. So this is a Windows machine. So I'm selecting this port here, and we selected Windows, and yeah, Windows. Basically, it should show some licensing part here. I will change latest. Will it show? No, previously it used to show licensing option here. Like in your traditional data center, already you are using some Windows servers, and you might taken some licensing from the Microsoft, and you are migrating to now cloud. So then whenever they are providing this per hour basis, right? If you see here per hour basis based upon this image, so they are charging you. So that cost will be reduced if you use that existing license which you were already purchased when you are running your application on the operating system on the traditional data center. but this time that option has been removed or not. I don't know. Like previously it used to be there, or maybe for latest one. No, maybe there's removed that feature. I think so. So once this is done, the next step will be like disks. Okay. So go to the disks option, and here encryption. Encryption, you know, right? Encrypting whatever the data is inside that, it will encrypt it. By default, this is disabled because for free tier they are not giving this facility for us. And this is OS disk premium SSD. OS disk means what? Whatever the image which we selected in the previous tab, Windows Server 2016, it needs one hard drive, right? Like one disk to load that image. So that is the OS disk type. Okay. So that is premium SSD. Here SSD is solid state drive. Even I think even nowadays whoever buying the laptops also, they are also getting SSD. Previously we used to have HDD drive in our laptops. Now we are getting SSD. That's why our booting process is also very quick and the performance is also very fast. The HDD drives are slow compared to SSD. SSD drives are more costly. Okay. So premium SSD, standard SSD, and standard HDD. So standard HDD we don't prefer for the VMs. Okay. And the standard SSD we will prefer to the test environments or development environments. Why? Because here majorly when we talk about the storage concept, so the storage is also plays the key role for the application performance. Not only CPU and RAM, your storage also matters. For example, nowadays we are using 10 years old laptop, even though if you increase 16 GB RAM, or you have very good processor of maybe i3 i5 of 10 years ago laptop, you just change it with the SSD drive instead of HDD, your performance will increase, your laptop performance. So drive, the storage will also plays key role in the performance. So here these SSDs are more powerful. Majorly we call it as an IOPS, input output per second, which is called as a read write operations. Okay. So read write operations for standard SSD are very less. For premium SSD, they're more. They're going to give you more IOPS values, 5,000, 10,000. That way you are going to get, so that your production environment, whatever the transactions is going to happen, it will be more faster. For example, uh, today is 26th. In 4 days, like most who are working, they are going to get the salary. Let's take an example of ICICI Bank. In ICICI Bank, for example, we take one example, one company, IBM, all got the salary. Whenever they got the salary, immediately all of the employees just logged in to that server and they're doing some transactions. Assume like 5,000 transactions or 10,000 transactions they're doing the same time across India or maybe across in one city. Your server should able to handle those many 5,000 requests per minute or maybe per second. Okay, to process that. CPU and uh, RAM is enough, is available, but backend storage also should able to handle those many requests at a time per second. So that is only possible when you have storage is having IOPS, very good IOPS. Okay, so when you have very good storage in the backend, then only front end application will run fast. If your application is having lot of transactions, some applications might need lot of transactions, lot of read write operations are not writing, maybe only viewing read operations, or maybe some basic read operations only happening, less write operations, then you need very less IOPS. Okay, so that will decide based upon the what kind of application we are running. Delete this, delete with VM means whenever you are deleting the VM, then this disks also should be deleted. In I think in AWS automatically disks will be deleted. We don't have specific option in that way. But if you uncheck this box and if you delete the VM, you might be assuming that SSD this disks also might be deleted, but it will not delete. Okay, backend Azure will charge you until this is a free account, but if it is a pay as you go, they will charge you for this premium disk. These are very costly. So always be careful whenever you're deleting a VM, you should delete this SSD drives also. Okay, or else you should go manual and check in the resource group that VM is deleted, but SSD drives are deleted or not. Okay. And key management, this is related to this encryption part. So when encryption is disabled, this is not required. Key management, okay. A disk encryption set stores the customer key that a disk snapshot will use for encryption its data. So means what? Whenever this, in case if it is enabled, if the data which is inside that encryption, it is not going to done from the storage point of view. It's done from the VM side. So, but it's anyhow disabled. We can ignore that. Enable ultra disk compatibility. This disk is more powerful than the premium disk. Okay. And they mentioned like SAP HANA, some kind of other kind of top tier databases are running, then you can use this ultra disk compatibility option. Okay. So, and this option will be only enabled when you select availability zone option in the availability options. In the first tab, we selected, I don't want any redundancy. Okay, we did not selected availability zone there. So this option will be enabled only when the availability zone is selected while creating your VM. Otherwise, this option will not enable. And this is data disk. So this is OS disk. The image which we selected, that will be loaded on this disk. And this is data disk. Data disk means your application or database, whatever you want to run. Okay. So if I select a create and attach a new disk, here the naming convention by they gave by themselves. And here by default is giving 1 TB. I don't want 1 TB. So change size. I want only 4 GB. Okay, again we have storage account session. At that time again we'll discuss. Okay, what is this LRS, DRS, all these things. If you see here, LRS. Okay, so we'll discuss when we talk about storage classes. So 4 GB means additional disk. In AWS also you have EBS volumes, right? You add additional storage for data. The another disk will use it for the operating system and this for the another data. Both are going to be stored separately. This will be attached. Okay. And if you go to the advanced tab, use managed disks. By default, this option is disabled, but it's checkbox. What does it mean? Use managed disks. Always remember, previously, I'll take diagram. I'll take another paint. Managed means what? Someone else is managing it. Okay. So here, whenever you are creating a VM, previously, what used to be there, like whatever the SSDs we are adding to these VMs for OS or data, it needs to be created inside the storage account, account service. This is one of the service providing by the Azure, like same like our virtual machine service. So you need to create first disks here, and then you need to configure it. And whenever you are creating a VM, you need to attach these disks to your VM. Okay. And it's completely under your control. What kind of disks you are creating, how much IOPS, everything will be under your control. And you need to select, you need to manage this everything. Okay. But now managed disks means what? Azure is providing everything. Azure is taking care of the disk, and we don't know backend. See, backend when they are providing, they also might be providing from the storage account only. But we cannot see the storage accounts. Under which storage accounts they are creating this and where it is, we cannot see it. Only thing is we are just selecting this disk, this OS disk and this data disk. We are just selecting how much size we want. And for each disk, how much IOPS is available, they already mentioned. When you click here, change size, if you see here, this all that is whatever the sizes they are providing backend, they might be running on some storage accounts. We cannot see it. It's their responsibility. If something happened to this is also, it's their responsibility. We don't need to worry about it. So that is what managed disks. Okay. So again, I'll change it to 4 GB. So here, okay. But this time I think two are there. I will remove one. Okay. So that is called managed disks, and this is better option nowadays. Why? Because there are some limitations if you follow this method. If you want to create a storage account and you create your own disks, there are some limitations which may not suitable for your application. So that's why we don't prefer creating our own disk, managing it. So we'll go with the managed disk option only. So whenever we create VMs, always we prefer managed disks. And ephemeral OS disks, ephemeral means like non-volatile. It's a temporary disk we are going to allocate. So the selected image is too large for the OS cache and temp disk of the selected instance. So we don't require this one, okay, for caching anything. So very rarely we may use this one ephemeral disk. So we can ignore it. And once this is done, disk part is done. Next is networking. So whoever already completed AWS, in AWS by default, in every region, they are providing one VPC for your network. So whenever you are creating VM, you will select the default VPC. You will create inside the VMs inside default VPC. But in the Azure, by default, you don't have any VNet. Here we call it as a VNet, there is a VPC. So by default, you don't have any VNet. You need to create it. But as of now, when you are creating a VM, if it doesn't have any VNet in your region, so by default it will give some name, okay, and it will create a new VNet. So as of now, I'm using this option. Why? Because when we start networking sessions, at that time we'll explain manually like how to create VNet and how to create a VMs inside that VNet, how to configure network security groups, application security groups. All these things we'll discuss when we start networking sessions. But as of now, we don't want to discuss about this VNet. Okay, automatically it will create one new VNet, and it is asking you want public IP. Why public IP? Because if you want to connect to that machine through internet, obviously it need one public IP. So it is giving one public IP. If you select none, then you don't get a public IP and you cannot connect it from the internet. From my laptop to that VM, we cannot able to connect. Okay. And next, security group. This is also we'll discuss when we talk about networking concepts. We have separate session, one full day session on network security group and application security group. That time we'll explain what are the features of this one. What will happen if you select basic, advanced, and none. Okay. And same inbound ports, RDP port. We already selected this one. And delete public IP and NIC when VM is deleted. This is always important. Okay. Why? Because public IP is chargeable. When they are providing public IP to your VM, it is chargeable. If IP is not deleted, but your VM is deleted, then you forget to go and check the resources what are available. You might be thinking I deleted VM, so everything might be deleted. But back end, previously, I think 2 to 3 years ago or 2 years ago, these options were not there. Delete public IP, delete disks while deleting VM. These options were not available. So now they added. Okay, so if you select this, public IP will also get deleted. Then you can get rid of this charging. Enable accelerator networking means more low latency network, but we don't want that. When we talk about VNet's networking concept, again we'll come back and talk what is advantage of this accelerator networking. Means hosting your VMs near to the network, like very close, instead of, for example, we discussed this concept, right? 3 VMs we are creating. So instead of whenever we are creating this kind of machines, you can be in network wise also, it will be very close. Okay. So these machines will be very close in the network so that the performance will be very good. Load balancer also, we'll have a separate session. Multiple load balancer topics we'll talk. Basic load balancer, standard load balancer, and then management. Management, here some options we'll discuss when the topic comes. Azure AD, when we talk about Azure AD, that time we'll talk. And auto shutdown. Like you want your server should be online during specific time. Okay, you are running some application and that application is using only daytime, morning 9 to 5. After that, no one is using your application. Then you can shut down. Instead of manual shutdown, you can plan shutdown. Okay, so that again it will come up whatever the time you mention. And a backup, you can take the backup of your automatic backup based upon what you want to do the backup. You can select this one. So guest OS updates whenever the specific operating system image which we selected, if it is having any latest updates, automatically it will do its patching by their own team. We no need to bother about it. Okay. And coming to the monitoring alert rules, if you want to configure any alerts, you can do all R&D with this one. Okay, so percentage CP is greater than, you can, if you want to trigger an alert, you to give your email ID and put some fake load on the server and check whether it's triggering alert or not. There are a lot of commands. If you hit that command, then automatically your CPU will become 100%. Then you can test whether this is working or not, it is triggering alert or not. So this way you can configure, okay, alerts, email me, email Azure Resource Manager role. This way you can enable. Again, when we talk about monitoring session, right? At that time also we'll discuss these things. Mm, boot diagnostics, always enable this one because it will help you whenever your VM is not coming online. This diagnostics will help you. Okay, so enable with storage account because it will create a storage account. There it will record some kind of logs. Okay, so whenever if something happens, you can troubleshoot it. Previously, whenever our VMs or physical servers is not working, what we'll do, we'll log into the console, we'll check what is the problem. If it is Linux, in the kernel, is there any problem? In the booting process, is there any problem? Is file system is having any problem? We used to check, right? Troubleshoot, and then we'll reboot it and it will come online. Same way, it will help troubleshooting. Okay, if you select these options. So these advanced options, custom data, like once VM is created, you want to execute some scripts, you can define it here and it will execute. Like for example, when the VM is created, you want to install some packages. You no need to go manually into the server, logging in and executing the commands. You can write a script here and whenever your machine is ready, then automatically it will execute the scripts and it will uh, complete the task, whatever you defined here. Okay. So tags are very, very important. Okay. So like for example, whenever we join any office, they'll give some tags, right? What is the purpose of tags? Like your employee code, your photo and your details. With that, easily they can identify which team you belongs to, in which floor you belongs to, everything, in which department. Same way, tags are very important whenever you're creating any resource. Because whenever you are doing any automation with maybe PowerShell or maybe something else, for example, let's say I want to uh, connect to some development servers and take the output of some command. So how you know out of hundreds of servers whether these are my development servers? So you can give the tags to your servers, multiple tags also you can give. Okay, so it's like a key value pair. Okay, so you can give uh, development, okay, and some value Linux, so that in the while you are writing PowerShell scripts or Python script, whatever the scripts you are writing, there you will give these tags names, okay, which wherever you find this with the development and this Linux tags to the servers, you apply this command on those servers, okay, or you apply this task on those servers. So these way tags are very, very important. So it will differentiate different kind of resources, whether it's a test environment, a production, or whether it's in storage resources or virtual machines. This way you can easily identify. Okay. So as of now, I'm not giving anything over here. And review and create. If you missed something or if it is any mandatory thing you missed, then it will show you validation failed for the following task. Monitoring tags, required information is missing. Okay. Okay, I selected this option, but I did not select any rule. That's why it is asking that. Review. Again, required information is missing. Tags. Okay, I'll delete it. Review and create. Now running final validation. So in interviews, sometimes they will ask you, whenever you create a VM, what will happen in the backend? Okay, what will happen in the backend? First of all, it will create a skeleton. Okay, whenever you create a VM, first it will create a skeleton and then it will send an API call to the storage service, API call to the compute service. Okay, so here, whenever you create a VM, this VM, so what happens? So it will create a skeleton and then it will send API call to different services, because whatever the options you selected B1 server, which contains 2 CPUs and 4 GB RAM. These are compute resources. So it will send API call to this one and it will get authorization from that. And then same way, it will send API call to network service. Okay, so network service, and then it will take the NIC card, virtual NIC card, and it will send API call to the storage service, storage account service, and it will get the disks. And then once everything is ready, then it will create a VM. Okay, so it will send an API call to all these services, and once validation is completed, when if it is ready to get that, then it is going to create the VM. Now if you see, validation is passed and you can create a VM. So as I mentioned previously, Azure will take little bit of time while creating resources, not like AWS. AWS, if you create a VM, I think within 10 to 20 seconds it will create. But here, Azure will take some time. Okay, one by one resource it will create. If you see here, when a deployment is started, then first it will create a network resource, public IP, NIC card, public IP, storage, CPU, RAM. One by one it will create. Then VM will be ready. If you see here, this is disk, this is public IP, this is a virtual network is created, and this is network security group is created. These are all our resources. These all resources will go and sit in the resource group which we created. If you go back and check in the resource group, you can see these are all our resources, individual resources. And finally, if you see, VM is getting created. And you can see here, uh, network security group. It send call Microsoft.network/network security group, virtual networks, public IP address service, disks, network interfaces. Okay, so it will get created. The finally you are getting created from the compute. You are getting created the CPU and RAM. It is going to be allocated. So this way, this is important. See, creating is easy. What is happening in the background, how it is creating, that is important. Okay, so once this VM is created, then we can do RDP to that server, and whatever you want, you can do it. Okay. In free trial subscription, some options will be disabled. Some services also will be not available, but whatever is available, we can use it. So this is about the VM creation. Okay. I hope you got better idea now. And tomorrow we'll talk about availability zone and availability set difference. And then we open this VM. Okay, once this VM is created, again the same options what we have seen now, networking, VNet, networking, monitoring, all these options also will be visible. Apart from that, few more options will be visible. We'll talk about those options. Okay, and still see it is taking time now, or else maybe we can go and refresh. Okay, still it is taking time. So I'll previously I was talking about uh, storage account, right? Like at the time when we are talking about managed disk. So here, so if you go here, storage account, this is the service storage account. There, here we need to create the disks. If you don't want to manage a disks, then here you can create a disks and you can allocate these disks to the VMs which you are creating. Okay. So, but what are the managed disks was providing by the Azure? From which storage account they are providing, we don't know. It is managing by them. We can't see it. Okay. Still, it is taking time. Before that, uh, I'll go to the resource group service, and here, mm, if you see Galaxy test, if you go here, is it all created here? So network related is created here because I forgot while selecting the network option, I forgot to select the resource group, this existing resource group. So it's selected by default one own resource group. That's why these resources were created inside that one. Okay, data disk. So VNet, energy in this resource group, all these are things it is showing. Okay, so we'll go and see whether VM is created or not. Okay, still it is showing creating, maybe some problem with the image or maybe some problem with that. So it is taking some time to create. Once it is created, maybe tomorrow also I can show you once this is created, how to log in. And these are all the options. You can see the left side for a VM. Okay, networking, all these options and connect, start, restart. Few of the options we can able to see. This is a public IP to connect to the server. Okay, guys. So this is for today. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So already so many people pinged. Uh, uh, Let me come from the starting. Okay, from 8:30. Uh, okay, so I missed the first and then how to contact. And then after that, how much Pranay, how much we expect for Azure administrator salary depends how much experience you are keeping. If you are a fresher or like 2 to 3 years experience you are keeping, or already you are an engineer like Linux admin or Windows admin, then on top of that you are mentioning Azure administration. Depends, right? What is your profile? Based on that, you are going to get that. I don't understand Sairam question. Why virtual machine? In what context you mentioned this? Why virtual machine? I don't know. How about our data? Are we going to lose due to competitive of price? See, data always will be in the external like managed disk. It is not in the CPU and RAM VM what we are going to get. So data will be in the disks. Okay, so it will not lose. You never save data on spot. Yeah. Will they delete our server if we enter the price of on-demand resource? You don't have option to enter price for your on-demand, and for on-demand, they will never delete the servers. Only for spot, they will delete the servers. Okay, for on-demand, they will not delete. Okay, What about our data when they delete our VM in spot? That's why you should not create your important critical machines with the spot. It's only for temporary purpose. If you want to create, you can create it, or else you don't go with the spot instance. Spot discount is not suitable option. Nanda, spot discount you should not use it for production or even for development or any some POC kind of work which is important. Then you should not use it. Basically, we don't use spot instances in the real world. Okay, very rarely people will use because anytime it can be deleted. As a like personal lab purpose, if you want to use, you can use it. Like for example, some high-end server you want to do R&D, you want to do some practice, 8 GB RAM, 16 GB RAM, and 32 16 CPU, 32 GB RAM. If you are getting in the spot, you want to do some high-end testing kind of performance wise. As a personal use, you can use it, and again you can delete it. All CPUs are shared. If you need such isolation, go for not with physical server. How we decide in real time if we create or to migrate data to cloud, which one is suitable for it? Shivam, what you need to decide in real time? Like I did not understand. Based on client requirements, we can't choose. Thank you, Ganesh, for responding behalf of me. Select none right. License is integrated to VM cost. Yeah, previously Bikram Yadav, previously they used to show that licensing option, like we used to get 50% discount. If you have already have a license in your on premises, if you purchased from the Microsoft, then if you select that option that I have license, then they will reduce the 50% of the price. But that option now it is not available. And Pratyush, does the disk also get deleted when the spot instance is terminated? If not, can we use persistent storage disk with and attach it to another spot or on-demand instance? Yeah, when you create that, okay, whenever you create that spot instance, what obviously disk is like a um, external only. It's not to the internal disk you are going to get. So obviously, you can do that. Manikant, I think yesterday already we announced that if you want recordings, you can contact the admin team. They are charging you some $10 per 3 months and $20 per 1 year. You can contact admin team. In this chat also, you can find the details like admin team email ID and phone number. You can contact them. Okay. I don't know what is the charge and I have recording and mentor the difference between OS data disk and data disk. Nothing. See, when you are selecting SIRAM, difference between OS disk and data disk. OS disk, when you select the image which you selected, that image is going to be loaded into the OS disk. So when you are selecting OS disk, what is the option you are selecting? Whether it's a premium SSD, standard SSD, that matters. And when you are selecting data disk, again it matters whether you are selecting premium SSD or standard SSD. Okay. For OS disk, if you are selecting standard SSD, and for data disk, if you are selecting premium SSD, means premium SSD is more powerful, means more IOPS you are going to get, and OS disk will get less IOPS. That's it. That is the difference. And is that link to make payment? Please get in touch. App service at specific time. App application, you can configure cron jobs inside the server also to stop your application. Okay. Who is asked? Sada Siba Saho. When application is running, you can configure your own cron jobs inside the server to start your application, stop your application on specific time. Cron job will take care of it. If it is a like a Linux VM. Our Windows also scheduled concept is there. With that also, our PowerShell also, with the help of that, you can do that. Start HTTPD Apache service, etc. File restarting VM. What is VNet for basic understanding? Sairam. See, VNet is a networking. Whenever you are creating a, for example, now you connected to this meeting. How you connected? You have an internet. How you got your internet? With your Wi-Fi. You have a one router at your home, and with that router you connected to the Wi-Fi, and you are connecting to this meeting. If you disconnect from your Wi-Fi, then your laptop is like an independent machine. It cannot connect to any other machine, right? So same way, whatever the VMs which you are creating, it should create on some network. Okay, without network, you cannot create a VMs. Even if it is created, then you cannot access that VM because it is not on any of the network. So it's a networking. VNet is a virtual networking. Sairam. Uh, saying that VNet is used for communication purpose, representation of our. Thank you, Ganesh, for responding to Sairam. Is Azure free trial for 1 month only? Yeah, for 1 month. Pankaj. Between disk storage, disk. What is Manoj Kumar? We'll talk about difference between storage, disk storage and blob storage in the storage class. Okay, it's like an EBS and S3 in the AWS. VM in RG and VNet in another and associate. Yeah, Shiva Pasham, you can do that. You can create a VM in one RG and VNet in another RG. You can, it can be used. Okay. Marvin Mensha, I have an interview tomorrow. Since external IP address are ephemeral, can we generate internal IP address? See, Indumukhi external IP is called as a public IP to connect from the internet. Internal IP is to internally communicate. So already machine is having one internal IP. If you see the screen here, present, this is a public IP and it should have one internal IP also. Where is that internal IP? So internal IP is to communicate in between the network. External IP is from connecting from the internet. So if you don't want to connect from the internet, you can use internal IP. Yeah, once we create a VM, we can edit the options later. Yes, we can create. That is what the screen which I'm showing. There, you whatever you want, you can edit it. Whenever we create a VM in Azure, what will happen? I explained detailedly like what will happen in the background. It will send API call to respective services, whatever the options you selected at the time of creating a VM. Then it will create that specific resource one by one, and finally VM gets created. Manikant, what is RG resource group? I think you missed yesterday's class. Please go through yesterday's class. Arun, can we make changes to VM resources after the VM is created? Yes, you can create, you can change, but again, it depends. Okay, as Naveen mentioned, not all resources, only few can be modified. Like for example, server capacity. You don't want 2 CPUs, 4 GB RAM. You want more, then you can change it. Okay, that way. You want you have one NIC card. You want more NIC cards. You can change that. It depends what you want to change also. Shiva Pasham, I think I answered you. Can you change VM type? For spot instance, I never tried changing the VM type. Okay. For on demand, you can change it. For on demand, Anjanelu, we can change it once the server is created. You can change, you can increase or decrease the capacity. Yeah, Shashi, it will be deleted. I have interview tomorrow for Azure Cloud Engineer Architect and Domain. What should I focus on? See, whatever you mentioned in your resume, the topics of Azure, you need to focus on that. And they will ask what is your day-to-day activities. You need to explain in a better way. You will not tell I will create a VM, I'll create a VNet, right? What kind of issues you will face? What is your role? What daily you are doing? So that they will ask you. So if it is only purely on Azure, then you need to tell all the things about Azure. What kind of work you will do? He will tell, if you tell VM creation means, do you create daily VMs in your organization? Like apart from that, what else you will do that? So you need to prepare for that. 6 plus how much salary we can expect? Basically, I'm from VMware background, also have knowledge. See, nowadays companies are giving good salaries. So easily you can get 6 plus means 12 to 15 lakhs of salary. And again, it depends which company. Some big product based companies may give more, service based companies may give less, based upon your current package. So if current package is already 10 lakhs, you cannot go for less than, or maybe 10%, 20% hike. So you should at least expect 30 to 40%. So whoever is ready to give, if they are okay with that, it depends. Krishna Chaitanya, regarding ingress ports and egress ports, we'll discuss in the networking session. If I want to deal data science project, which type of VM is suitable? There are separate VMs are available. Okay. Again, see, data science means what kind of process it will do, what it expects. They based on that, you need to select the VMs. In the application, whatever the application you want to deploy, in that application there will be mentioned system requirements. Okay, you need to follow that system requirements, what it is expecting, how much RAM, how much CPU, what kind of hardware, or is it specifically expecting any storage, maximum IOPS. In the system requirements they will define. We are as an administrators can't tell that, okay, this is a database, go and run on this machine, this is the application, go on. They will come up with the requirement and we need to provide that requirement. We cannot we did not created that application, right? On what basis, on what platform it will run. So we don't need to worry about it. What if you wanted moderate instead of on demand? How to select moderate? See, as I said, you mean to say moderate means SM, you mean to say reserved. Reserved means what? You are paying 1 year or 2 years fees in a single go. Then you are going to get a discount. Okay. So if you are sure that you are going to run your application for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, then if you pay that amount, then you are going to get that server for a discount price. That in later sessions I will show you how to create a reserved instance. We're talking about reserved instance. Can we have termination protection so that VMs are not deleted by mistake? Yeah, we can do that. MCSC knowledge is essential before, not required. If you are MCSC means you can easily understand. If you are coming from the Microsoft like Windows background, easily you can understand all these terminologies, but it's not mandatory. Pratik Chakraborty. If VM launched with high resources, need to scale down is possible. Yeah, it's possible. You can reduce and you can increase. Srikant. Can we do labs in a free subscription? Yeah, in free subscription, maximum you can do. Okay. As I mentioned, while I'm creating VM, some options are disabled, right? Those kind of problems we will face, but maximum you can do with the free subscription. No, I think Shaukat, they will in AWS they are charging by like minute wise. Previously it was hour wise. Within Azure also they are charging like hour wise only. They'll consider it as an hour, not as a minute wise. Okay. If you use more than 15 minutes, they will consider it as a minute wise only. When the English change, since external IP address is ephemeral, will. So what do you mean by ephemeral external IP, Krishna Chaitanya? Will the IPs get changed when the VM is restarted? Okay, you mean to say, yeah, understood. Uh, Dynamic and static. You mean to say dynamic, right? That is a correct word you need to use. Dynamic IP means whenever you reboot, the IP will be changed. Obviously, it will change. Or if you want dedicated IP, then you need to create a static public IP and you need to attach it to it. That we'll discuss in networking sessions. How to connect server? Yeah, tomorrow, Ajay Singh, I will show you tomorrow. Today, the server is taking a lot of time to create it. Once it is connected, tomorrow when we start the class, we'll connect to the server and then I will jump into the availability zone and availability set difference. And all the applications are compatible to run on all the OS Windows. See, application means on which language it is developed. If the application is developed on .NET, then obviously it expects Windows operating system. It cannot run on the Linux machine. And if the application is developed on Java or Python, Node.js, this kind of applications is compatible with the Linux operating system. So your application is developed on which language, based on that, you need to select the operating system. How to connect the server with the PEM file. Ajay Singh, tomorrow I will show you. I will create Linux machine also, and I will show you how to connect the Linux machine with the PEM file. Is internal IP. Yeah, Sai, internal IP is a private IP. You have the option to not allow public IP. I did not understand. Do you have the option to not allow public, not allow public IP? Not allowing means not allowing to view or not allow to connect. I did not understand. Marvin means this we'll discuss in the networking session. Then you'll understand about how to block that. See, how, Navya, how can we opt for an on-demand? Whatever we created now, it's an on-demand. When you not selected Azure Spot checkbox, it means it's an on-demand request only. Okay, you are selecting all, you are putting all the details. What is your requirement? How much CPU RAM you are required? What is the image? Everything networking details, which is a on-demand request only. If you select Spot checkbox, then you are requesting Spot. Okay, reserved instance creation is separate. But here on demand, whatever I shown you, it's an on demand request only. I did not get free trial option in subscription drop down while creating a VM. Why? Indumuki, I don't know why you did not got Azure subscription one option in drop down. What kind of subscription you have now? When you go to subscription resource, what kind of subscription it is showing? Is it free trial it is showing? If it is not showing, maybe you selected the region. Some regions may not accept free trial, so you just select which region you selected. Okay. Kabir, is this ongoing training? When did it just joined? Did I miss a lot? This is the third class. Okay, and this is ongoing training for more 1 month or more than 1 month. Okay, 40 hours or 40 days. I don't know, but okay. Oh, end of the day, it will be like 40 hours. So Kabir, you can contact admin team for more details. CCN is related to Azure, sir. Could you explain? No, CCN is not related. CCN is completely networking topic. It's a Cisco certified network administrator. It's completely you deal with the switches, routers. Anjanelu, when creating Spot VM, if Azure delete our VM, data also gone deleted. Yes, if you want, before deleting, if you take any backup, then it will be available. If you don't take any backup, then it will be deleted. Jai Kishore Reddy, premium SSD and premium SSD difference. Your question is like, don't understand. Both are same, right? Premium SSD and premium SSD. Which is choose either CCNA or Linux or Azure. CCNA is old, like no one nowadays working on learning CCNA. I don't know your name, you just mentioned P. You need Linux. Nowadays, if you want to become data science, machine learning, DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, some basic Linux is important nowadays. So you can learn Linux and Azure also. P. Premium SSD and standard SSD. SSD is same. The IOPS which you are going to get is different. Premium means you are going to get more. Standard means you are going to get less IOPS, input output per second. Like standard SSD you are going to get 300, premium SSD you are going to get 1000. That's the difference. So they'll charge more. Which is more economical, on demand or spot? Prasanna Kumar. See, it's not about economical means spot only, but in real time we are going to run our applications. So if it is for longer period, you are going to with the reserved, or if it is for short term, then you will go with the on demand. Okay. Already 196594. I don't know what is your name. VM has created in public IP. How to create? All it contains a private IP. Whatever the VNet it's created, inside that VNet it is containing one public IP range. That public IP range is also assigned to this machine, some 10 series IP. Okay. So it contains public IP and private IP both. Manju raised hand. Yeah, please go ahead and ask your question. Manikant, again you are asking what is RG? RG is a resource group. It's like a bag. When you go to a market, you carry one bag, right? Inside that all you put your all groceries inside that bag. Same like when you are creating resources, it will create a RG resource group. Inside that all the resource group, all the resources will get created. Okay. Uh, okay, done. Manju or someone like raise the hand. If you want to ask any question, you can ping in the chat. What's the alternative to open free tier account Azure without credit or debit card? Because I tried with both of them, did not work. Credit card, it should work. Debit card, even I have doubts because previously in the previous batches, many students raised concern that for debit card, they couldn't able to open a free tier account for some of the people. For some people, they can able to open the account. But for debit credit card, you should open. You can talk to any technical team with the Azure, like they can respond why it is having that problem. Okay, guys. So we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Tomorrow is also important class. Every day is an important class. I will not say it's a like normal class because I feel every class is an important. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening. Bye. Kabir, what will be discussed tomorrow? Tomorrow also same VM, but important is difference between availability zone and availability set, which is very important to understand because that will be asked in most of the interviews. So how you are going to explain it depend on that, it matters. So we'll take enough time to explain about it and then remaining stuff about this VM. Once we created it, right, we'll see what are the other options inside this VM, what we can do. Okay. Bye, guys.